Welcome to the 2023 Music City Open presented by Lone Star Disc. This is Gatekeeper Media's coverage of the MPO Chase Card Round 2 Front 9. I'm Andrew Fish, joined here by Nathan Queen.
Yes, out here at Mill Ridge Park for the second round, out here in Antioch, Tennessee, right just south of Nashville. And have a pretty fun card to watch today. Excited to see if we have a bit of wind change out here.
Yeah, about the same direction, a little lower intensity, but potentially significantly wetter than day one.
Yeah, and you see we have Nick Hanson, Anthony Barela, Austin Turner, and Adam Hammis making an appearance for the second day in a row.
And our entire chase card tied for third in the field at 6 under par. Definitely within striking distance of the lead. We've seen a couple chase card wins this year, Nathan, so folks looking to stay with it.
Yeah, already back-to-back wins on that. Nick Hanson putting with the Omega 4 is going to see some polecat, maybe a rock, the new Helio Quasar, and then he also throws those Falcons a lot.
Anthony Barela, now sponsored by Discraft, he's going to be putting with that CT Jawbreaker Focus. There's a couple other putters. A lot of buzzes in the bag for his mids, and I expect to see the overstable stuff to come out. He's been favoring the Venom early.
And Austin Turner moving to DGA this year, going to be putting with the steady BL Stones. Going to see some quakes and squalls. And then he's got the Hypercane, I believe, is his tour series this year. Probably see that for those distance shots.
And Adam Hammis returning to the Gatekeeper card. Did well enough in round 1 to find himself on this chase card. Also putting with the CT Jawbreaker Focus. He's going to throw that zone a ton, and we saw Forces and Onyx out of him. Hole 1. This is a par 4, playing as a very, very challenging hole. Left to right wind, and you can either throw a hyzer over the right side or an anhyzer over the left side. We'll see what the lefty Turner does. As you approach the green, the entire left side is out of bounds, and it's pretty cluttered around the green. Important to get through the second gap.
Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Nick Hanson.
Nick sponsored by Millennium, and we saw him quite a bit on the Gatekeeper coverage last year. Good to see him playing well after making it through the qualifier round earlier this week.
Yeah, that's awesome. Not even qualified for the event, able to do so on Monday. And then out here making chase card after a good first round. Not something you're going to see too often.
Good swing off the right side. And it's kind of hard to make up a lot of ground here, Nathan, because you're just having to project your disc so high to get over the trees.
From Mesa, Arizona, Anthony Barela.
And if there's a player who can get some distance here, Anthony Barela is going to be one of them. With that left to right, though, that's really the biggest thing in keeping people from getting distance right now. So you have to go so high that all that wind's up there, and it just packs it down pretty quickly.
Definitely a distance merchant. Gives it lots of height, and that will swing further left than Hanson's and further.
Yeah, but it still dropped very quickly and didn't make it to the crest of that hill.
On the tee from Mint Hill, North Carolina, Austin Turner.
This is a great distance line for a lefty backhand. If there's not this left to right wind, there's still a better chance to get a little bit more distance if you can ride that wind a little bit, but still once you get it turned over, it'll pack it down.
He did it pretty well. Got it to flat for a long time.
Definitely so. Crest that hill, going to be in a great spot.
On the tee from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Adam Hammis.
Not quite sure where Adam is from, and I don't know the starter is either.
I believe he is from Wisconsin.
Yeah. But Minocqua.
Oh, I gotcha.
And I'm going to take a little extra time here. And this is following Barela. A little shorter, a little more left, but that should leave him his favored forehand into the green.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see the different heights there that really still went about the same distance.
And Nick this is looking early right.
Yeah, and going straight in to that rough we were talking about yesterday. It's pretty rough to get out of.
Definitely. Often you're gonna have to choose among several bad options.
And Adam Hammis coming up short there also. Might be in a better position than Nick, but hard to tell. I really think the wind on this second shot is a big factor in why this hole is playing so difficult today. Except for Anthony Barela.
Yeah, when you can kind of just overpower the hole and play a pure hyzer. Whew, what a luxury. Turner did, in fact, get the most distance off the tee, and he will have the backhand following that line. Looks like it's going to land right of the bucket, inside the circle, though.
Yeah, and looks to get a nice little skittle off to the left to stay out of a little bit of that thick rough. Should have a straddle putt out fairly clean. Wow.
And pretty good progress from Hanson.
Too much progress,
Yeah.
it looks like.
So the basket is basically the opposite side of that cluster. Poor guy's got to throw several shots in a row.
And this is for bogey now, I believe. Cubs up just a bit low. Gonna be a rough hole one for Nick. Look to turn it around soon. Adam was definitely in a better spot, but still difficult to get the birdie. But no problem. We saw him make a long par putt yesterday on this hole and able to connect on the birdie putt through the trees today.
Yeah, very good improvement from Adam. And you see him kind of picking his way up. We got rain on Thursday night and then quite a bit on Friday night and Saturday morning. It was raining throughout some of the morning rounds. And
That was me.
Yeah.
It was raining on me.
That was me too. That left some pretty muddy conditions for the later cards.
But 3 birdies here, way better than the rest of the field. This hole averaged at a 4.3, second hardest on the course. But Chase Card averaged under par even with a double bogey there. Moving on to hole 2, 723-foot par 4. Got OB left and OB right following the wood line. It does duck into the woods just a bit once you get closer to the gap. The straighter you can look down the gap, the better opportunity you're going to have to get the birdie. But this is a very difficult hole as well.
Yeah, the entire hole ringed with out of bounds. You hear a little bit of background engine exuberance.
I think I was on 18 when that happened. I remember that.
Turner with a little bit of a slip. And despite that, puts himself in good position. You'd like to be a touch righter than that, but still out there, safe, good progress. Oh no.
Oh, and immediately catches a bit of that head left to right wind going on. And will not make it back in bounds. Those are for hole 3 that he's close to over there. Really far back there. He's going to have to take that almost at the tee pad. Maybe 50 feet forward.
Yeah, I think if you're throwing that shot, it just needs to be flat to hyzer, and Hammis kind of wobbled it into an anhyzer. This is going to be the force he was throwing quite a bit yesterday.
Oh, and he's heading towards that right side, but is able to stick. He's going to be in that 360 range, maybe?
Barela going to swing to the right side and does funnel into a circle 2 look.
As difficult as this shot is, it's still one of the most fun shots on the course, I think.
Yeah, it's neat to have to throw a hyzer stand-up, or for you the kind of turnover to pan and flex and try to hold straight for another 150 or so. Hamas back to the forehand.
Oh my God.
Wow, big slip.
Yeah, right where you want to land at on this hole as well. We didn't really mention it. Is one of those mud spots that gathers when all this rain happens this year, and in previous years.
We should say the course conditions are rough, but that's not for lack of trying. There's been a lot of effort from the DGPT and local event staff to, add mulch, add rocks. Kind of just an unwinnable situation for them right now.
Yeah,
So,
continuous effort. That's not just beforehand. They have done work throughout the day, at night.
and Hanson testing the out of bounds line over there. Will have an inside the circle putt. Turner, that's not much of a bid. I think it's just a layup. Let's take your short putt and move on.
Yeah, if you can get into this gap, you kind of feel like you have a pretty good opportunity to get the par. And with the downslope that's here, if you get a skip off the top of the basket, you could reach that OB.
Ugh.
He almost reaches that OB. Wow.
I think Nick will thank you not to project too much, Nathan. Due to barbed wire on the fence, it was determined you could have 2 meters of relief from any out-of-bounds line, including the left side. So Nick able to get a little closer, but can't cash in. Hamas in. That'll be a 6. Stalls his progress temporarily.
So starting the round today, hole 1 was the second most difficult hole, hole 2 the most difficult.
Hey folks, Nick from Sioux Falls, South Dakota here. Grateful to be on the Gatekeeper coverage today. You can find me at Hanson Disc Golf on Instagram and on YouTube. I'd like to thank my sponsors, Gatekeeper Media. You can go to gatekeepermedia.com/shop and use Hanson Disc Golf for 10% off. You can also go to ctpdisc.com and use code Hanson Disc Golf for 10% off. I'd also like to thank my manufacturer, Millennium Golf Discs. We'll see you at the next one.
Hole 3, the shortest hole on the course. Not quite. At 277 feet, a par 3, initial gap with a mandatory. The entire hole again ringed by out of bounds. Couple ways you can play this. You can play an aggressive flex shape. I think this is a zone OS out of Barela. And the middle trees are pretty intrusive to that particular shape. The alternative is playing something a little slower and turning it over, trying to just get to the edge of circle maybe.
Yeah, those 3 trees in the middle are evil. They're an evil design right there. They're very difficult to miss, and once you do miss them, very funny angles to miss the rest of the trees after that.
Hamas with an early release.
But I like it. I like that sometimes everybody has to hit the same thing. It's not something that you need all the time, and that doesn't happen out here too often.
Hanson nearly with a gorgeous little turnover. He had gotten this in round 1, but taps down to the left side. Hamas fighting. He'll be in circle 2 with a chance to save par. And this, if you're going to get tapped down early, this is the result you're hoping for, Nathan.
Absolutely. Once you let go of that disc, you're just kind of hoping to be in the middle.
Mm-hmm. But as long as this course is at nearly 10,000 feet, I think it's really neat that a hole under 300 can be reasonably fair. There is a safe way to play this for par, but frustrate the best players in the world.
Yeah, and
Hamas.
Oh my goodness.
That's what he's known for, making those big putts. Scuffled on hole 2, able to save his par on hole 3.
What a putt. 55, 58 feet there.
And navigated well by Hanson. Like that doesn't look like much, but that's a very critical play for his round.
Agreed. And I was going to say, for the second day, this hole did average over par, 3.17, fifth most difficult on the day.
Why disc golf? It's the people. It's fun.
It's the lucky shots. It's the feeling.
So come out.
Grab a disc.
Or two, and let it fly with Lone Star Disc.
Moving into hole 4, the first par 5 on the course, 1,112 feet. Ideally, you could like to get up to around here on your drive if you got big power. Then you're going to have a backhand turnover shot over top of those trees rather than trying to hit the gap and float out to hopefully 200 feet or so for an easy upshot to tap in your birdie.
Barela's so good at throwing this driven shape. He's going to hug the right side a little bit, fly over the short tee pad, and run out to the left.
Just what you want.
Yep. The landing zone here isn't super demanding. It's kind of just like get your 400, maybe a little extra, and then attack more on the second shot.
Yeah, I would say especially for Austin, for everybody, the left is better than right, but especially for Austin, having to go backhand most likely on that second shot, unless he does try to go big forehand flex. The farther left you are, the easier that angle is going to be.
Mm-hmm. It's well thrown by Hamas. In the middle, he was testing the left side quite a bit yesterday. Maybe elected to play a touch safer. And Hanson with really good spin on that. He's not going to have the same kind of distance in general that the rest of the folks on the card are, but clearly got to this point with a good game plan.
And Austin does go with that backhand here, trying to get up over those trees. And just does get around them. Going to be in a pretty good spot to most likely forehand approach there. Pretty difficult to get a turnover into this green. Precisely.
Hanson with good height, good turn, and that's probably in the neighborhood of 300, 320 to the bucket. He should be able to see it, which is also very key. And
boom, smash.
Yeah, that poor disc.
It felt some G-forces on that throw right there. He will definitely be able to see the basket. He's inside that 200 range I was talking about.
Makes PJ, our catch cam operator for this weekend, turn around. And this needs to hang on. A lot of late action for Hamas. And is in the short stuff.
Oh, yeah, and that's far enough. That being over there on the left shouldn't be too bad. Should have a little easy putter approach from there. I wonder if Nick was worried about slipping on those rocks. There are some boulders around that are pretty slippery with all this wetness today.
Yeah, pretty neat course features. But I don't know. I'd kind of be grateful for something I know isn't going to move under me at least. As you called, Turner with the forehand into the green. And that will settle eventually near circle's edge.
Oh, and Ham is close enough to putt.
And if he's there...
Wow. Barela, you think he's going to be...
Do it for the story.
He doesn't run this, does he? That's really high. That looks like a layup. Very, very easy birdie there. It's exactly what you want.
Yep. So looking at 4 birdies potentially, 4 birdie looks. Hanson not quite able to give the juice into the headwind.
And maybe a bit tentative after seeing Nick go over top. Austin ends up just a bit low. Adam Hammis able to connect, though, back to even for the round.
And Nathan, this is an elevated basket, but it's also not quite apparent from filming that this slope is pretty severe. If you're below the basket, you are really below it.
It is. The little red tassel you can see, that is marking about 10 feet or so, and that's a good 2 or 3 feet down already. It does slope down pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. Hole 5, a relatively short par 4 at 587 feet. We're likely going to see 4 counterclockwise spins. You got to get near this tree line and then attack the green, likely with another counterclockwise spin. Everything is surrounded by out of bounds again. And I think the goal here is just to get yourself about 270 to line yourself up with the largest gap and then have a similar distance into the green.
Yeah, I have seen most players just kind of staying out there, not really getting close to the gap. The closer you get to the gap, the more of a chance you have of being pinched off. So that's going to be the main reason to stay out wide. As you see, Adam really liked Anthony's spot. He's just going to put it in the same. But I prefer to go towards that tree line to get you. This is
very similar to that.
Yeah, but that was a little inside or a little short, I think.
I think so. He should have a gap that he's framed up in, but will have to play much wider than desired.
But I like to get up into that tree line and allow myself to throw a standstill shot into the green. I feel much more controlled that way with all the OB around.
We see Nick.
Oh, and this looks like it's caught some wind.
Yeah, this particular shot is going to play as a headwind with some right to left. Hammis back to that force.
And that headwind right to left is very tricky for this type of spin. The headwind wants to turn it over to the left, but if you have it on too much of a hyzer, the right to left pushes it down and doesn't let it go right as well. So you really kind of have to get the nose up to let get
the forces balancing each other properly.
Yes, to let the crosswind counteract that headwind.
We see that well managed by Hammis and very similarly by Barela. Once again, those two are just copycatting.
Yeah, within 2 feet of each other on the tee and the upshot.
As noted, Turner going a little wider, and because he was 40 feet closer, it's not that imposing. And
yeah,
that's what you're supposed to do on essentially a lefty hole, right?
I guess so. I was describing the lefty play instead of the righty forehand, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. With the backhand, you can generate a little more rotation, a little more velocity, so the wind can't do nearly as much.
Very rare.
Yeah. Hammis going to take a moment to ponder some of life's existential questions.
I've done that many times.
Yeah, you hope not to do it more than a couple in a tournament. Barela with a good birdie, and we're going to see a couple of extra cleanups, one for par, one for birdie, one for bogey.
That moves us into hole 6, the second par 5 of the round, 976 feet. If you can get up to this area but a little bit farther left, that's going to put you in the best spot to try to throw a hyzer into this big wide area that we're flying over now, which then will leave you another 200, 250 feet into this pin. Multiple ways, though, to get to that second area. It's just kind of how you're most comfortable with it, being aggressive here or being equal with your tee shot and your upshot.
I've got to imagine this par 5 is playing significantly harder than hole 4, just because the OB is significantly more intrusive. And Turner with the lefty bomb out there. It's not nearly as bad for him to be to the right side, since he can throw his backhand to gain.
Yeah, go with that hyzer over top to get into that good second position. Adam Hammis going to go high. This looks good if it can dig. And it does. Going to be in a good spot.
Hanson going to push a little more straight. And
Yeah.
that's not terrible. He has a very competent forehand, so I expect him to throw over the top with that.
Yeah, if you're well versed in your shot selection, then he's not in too bad of a spot. But if you just got one or two shots, he's in that pretty awkward zone.
Mm-hmm. And this cluster of trees to the left side of the hole is safe, although everything right is lined out of bounds at the wood line. Hammis with the TI force once again. You kind of just like find that one good stable driver and ride it around the course.
Yeah, he does so well. He's going to be in a good second spot. Looking pretty straight at the pin. And this is kind of what I was talking about. No matter how far you get off of the tee, you can only do so much with the second shot unless you make it to the mouth where you see all those people at right now.
And doesn't have to really go hunting for it, but can't do a whole lot other than advance maybe 120 feet. That'll leave him a putter into the green.
Yeah, and what a frustrating feeling.
To know that you nearly got it right, but 20 feet right and you'd be perfect.
Anthony Barela is perfect on that upshot. He's in the bullseye, going to be tapping in yet another birdie.
Yeah, and this front nine playing much harder than the back in general. We saw that yesterday. Barela making quick work of it.
And Adam Hammis also going to put himself inside the circle. Trying to follow suit. Austin Turner found that tree line on the left side. And like Nick, going to have to just kind of pitch out. Not much you can do from in there.
Swings it out to the left. Yeah. And good distance control. There is a downslope behind this basket that kind of comes pretty quick. Hanson sees that. Doesn't give it quite the same width, but more of a checking skip to bullseye.
So a couple par, a couple birdie. And Adam Hammis able to correct the mistake on the last hole.
He didn't seem to like that putt, and
it did look a little awkward.
He's been kind of floaty on the green rather than the driven putt that we're used to. And I wonder if that's just like not getting the hand totally dry and being more pushy than spinny.
I wonder if it's these baskets.
That there's kind of been talk about spit outs or light chains, and that's in his head.
Yeah, this is there's been a little bit of action too, not just talk.
I want to thank all my sponsors: Discraft, Grip Equipment, Resistance Discs, and Pastry Dyes. We're going to do a restock of the jerseys soon, hopefully within the next week or so, and then that's going to be on teamdiscraft.com. And then Tour Series discs drop on April 21st, so look out for those.
Hole 7, 535 feet downhill, playing into a little bit of a headwind with a right to left cross. The hole is bounded by out of bounds, but it's pretty generous. With this headwind, likely going to see hyzers around the right side, and the power players have a chance to get there. Everyone else, it's kind of hard to do.
I would say very hard to do, especially with this headwind going on. And there was so much height on that. I just can't imagine it made it all the way there.
I don't think so.
How about these tee pads? What do you think about this big platform?
I tell you what, it's nice to be able to see this basket. It definitely provides a good visual cue. Interesting to see such an elaborate structure on a temporary layout.
It is. It's very strange to walk up and see that big man-made structure out here in these fields, but very well made. I enjoy teeing off of it.
Mm-hmm. And I think even with this headwind, Turner gets to throw the lower, more direct line. So although his disc is kind of getting knocked down, he has more attacking potential than the righties do.
Yeah, there could be a little bit of right to left in this headwind. And if he can drive and get the bottom flight plate to that right to left wind, it can carry it down a little bit more.
And that's well done by Nick. I really... That's well done, because this is not a scoring hole today.
No, and that's the area that you want to land at today.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get inside 100 feet just to lay up.
And then a nothing crazy second shot. You see even a couple very aggressive players in Barela and Hanson wanting nothing to do with those late circle 2 looks.
I feel like Austin might go for this one. And his brain didn't let him as he ends up coming up a bit low. We're going to see 4 tap-in pars. Makes sense, as we only saw 8 birdies on the day today.
Yeah, in a field of over 100.
Probably saw that quite a bit today. 4 threes. Moving into hole 8, one of the easier holes on the course, although it is a pretty demanding tee shot. Ideally shapes best for a backhand, I would say. But we did see a couple forehands yesterday.
Liable to see a couple more today.
As Barela misses by inches there, was about to fade off to the left. And just kind of leave it up to the ground play. Could work out good, or it could just end up sticking right there.
Saw Hanson throw the same forehand and get a favorable bump to the green. Not quite getting that today. He's going to be long right of the bucket.
I am a bit surprised. Austin has a very good lefty forehand, and I'm a bit surprised to not see him use that there. It's a straight shot, but the way that it shapes, the gap is more open if you throw this righty backhand that Nick is going for. There's just less things to hit for the shape of it.
Yeah, and it's kind of natural to chop over that forehand. Austin's very good at doing so. He is going to be doing a little jump approach. And that's well done. This is a good little spinner for Barela, but throws it over the basket. And I kind of like this hole after the last few that are like very open, very power oriented. I doubt there were any out of bounds thrown on this hole, but there's kind of natural out of bounds with the density of woods.
Oh, I found a unique route on this hole today. It didn't work out well. Adam Hanson For the second day in a row, though, gonna grab the birdie on hole 8, moves him to 2 down again on the round.
And Nick can't quite deal with the comebacker. This is Barela for his par. Good center. And you see that just a couple down is keeping these folks in the mix.
Definitely so. This front 9, again, very difficult. Most of the holes averaging over par on this course are on this front 7.
Mm-hmm. Hole 9 will continue the string of par 3s in the middle of the course. Downhill, 391 feet. There's an OB fence line as well as the woods to the right. So we're either going to see backhands thrown down the tunnel or this forehand that Hamas is going to show us. You can put a little baby flex on it, but the idea is to throw it past the tree and then stall back to the right.
It's tough. Take a putt.
And Barela not quite giving it the width that I think you would want. That seems likely to play with the tree in the middle. A pretty common result.
Yeah, it does. And luckily for him, they've cleaned that tree up since last year. You used to not really be able to see through that or into it. But cleaning it up nicely, making it playable this year.
Yeah, you can see that there is a long-term vision for the property here with action like that. And I'm given to understand that there's some woods across the street, still part of Mill Ridge Park, that they might have designs on making into another course at some point.
That could be some exciting stuff. We saw Austin Turner get a great shot up over top, showing you that the backhand, little bit of extra spin there. Skips into the woods on the right, but should have a birdie look. Anthony Barela trying to give that a bid there. Still stays in bounds.
Nick had thrown a very good tee shot and unfortunately caught the last fingers of the tree on the left. We'll have to lay up. Here is Hamas.
I'm scared.
Scared.
He's not thrilled with that bid, but the OB does creep in pretty quickly behind it, no more than 20, 22 feet. And from the edge of the wood line, Turner going to be putting for his birdie.
And he's been pretty quiet, but this is to go 3 down on the front 9.
Bogey free.
Yeah, and he missed a putt for birdie on 4. So quietly keeping up with the card.
And Hanson got a little work to do on the back, but we know he's more than capable of doing so. Hamas in for his par. And you see Barela has jumped up into a tie for second. Got a 5th and 6th on the card. Nathan, what are you looking forward to on the back?
Looking to see these players keep pushing for those birdies. Only 1, possibly 2 holes left that average over par, so lots of attacking to do, and see if anybody below these guys or if these guys can make a push towards that lead card.
Definitely. Halfway done with our tournament and still in the mix. For Nathan Queen, I'm Andrew Fish.
We'll see you guys out there.